a long-haul trucker on the open road. But behind the wheel wasn't just a man making deliveries. It was a sadist, a killer, and possibly one of the most prolific serial predators in American history. This is the disturbing case of Robert Ben Rhoades, the truck stop killer. Robert Ben Rhoades was a seemingly average long-haul truck driver in the 1980s and early 90s, but authorities believe he may have murdered dozens of women while traveling from state to state, luring victims from truck stops, highways, and rest areas across the country. What makes his case especially chilling is not just the number of victims, but what he did to them inside the custom-built torture chamber in the back of his 18-wheeler. In April of 1990, an Arizona Highway Patrol officer noticed a tractor-trailer parked on the side of the road with its hazard lights on. When the officer approached the cab, he heard screaming. Inside, he found a terrified 18-year-old woman handcuffed and shackled to a bar mounted behind the driver's seat. That woman, alive but traumatized, would be the beginning of the unraveling of one of the darkest cases in trucking history. Born in Iowa in 1945, Robert Ben Rhoades served a stint in the Marines, attended college, and later became a cross-country truck driver. He was smart, clean-cut, and unassuming, but behind closed doors he harbored deeply sadistic fantasies. Police would later find disturbing photographs, hundreds of them, of young women bound, gagged, and clearly in distress, taken inside his truck. One of the confirmed victims was Regina K. Walters, a 14-year-old girl from Texas. She had run away with her boyfriend, Ricky Jones, and the two were hitchhiking when they encountered Rhoades. Jones was likely killed almost immediately. Regina, however, was kept alive. In one haunting photograph taken just before her death, Regina stands in an abandoned barn, dressed in black, her hair freshly cut, and her face filled with terror. That image would later become infamous. Rhoades had converted the sleeping quarters of his truck into a mobile torture chamber. Equipped with restraints, chains, whips, and gags, the area was soundproofed and hidden behind curtains. Victims could be held for hours or days as Rhoades carried out his twisted fantasies before eventually killing them and disposing of their bodies. The woman rescued in 1990 led to his arrest and eventually a search of his truck and home. Inside, authorities found weapons, bondage tools, a collection of photographs, and personal belongings of missing women. It was clear Rhoades had been hunting for years, and his victims may never be fully counted. FBI profilers described Rhoades as a power-control serial killer. He didn't just want to kill. He wanted domination, control, and suffering. He took photos as trophies, used the truck's mobility to avoid suspicion, and specifically targeted vulnerable young women, often hitchhikers, runaways, or women working truck stop sex work. In 1994, Rhoades was convicted of the murder of Regina K. Walters. He received a life sentence without parole. Since then, he's been connected to at least 50 disappearances, though many remain unsolved. He never confessed. He never showed remorse. Even now, decades later, the full extent of Robert Ben Rhoades' crimes may never be known. He used the freedom of the road as a hunting ground and turned his truck into a dungeon. One thing's for certain, Regina's photo haunts us because it captures not just a victim, but a moment where evil looked right into the lens. This has been the case of the truck stop killer. If you found this story disturbing, Subscribe for more true crime breakdowns and real unsolved mysteries every week.